Welcome to Practice. My name is Nikki, and for today's class, we're going to be working on lengthening and stretching out through our legs. So what you'll need for this practice is a bolster and a strap. You might want a blanket, but it's completely optional. But we're actually going to start out on our back so you can clear your mat completely of your space. And let's actually just get started off on the same side. So let's go ahead and bring your bolster over to your right side of your mat. If you have that blanket, you might want to stack it on top. And then we'll come lying down onto the mat into Shavasana. The legs will extend out nice and long. The arms can come out to the sides. And then you'll rest the back of your skull down onto the floor. Now, as you allow your whole entire body just to rest here for a few moments, we'll start to connect to the heaviness and the length of the legs. See if you can feel into your heels, your shin bones, and the thigh bones, the femur bones in the body. And as you are connecting to these bones in the legs, you'll just feel them collapse a little bit further down into the floor. They'll get a little bit heavier as you relax them and completely let go of them. We'll spend the next just 4 to 5 moments here just allowing the bones and the legs to be very heavy, letting go of any gripping or holding, and just letting them rest completely. And we'll just spend one more moment here, again, creating and cultivating that heaviness in your legs. Now, one knee at a time, we'll bend the knees. Step your feet down onto the floor, and we'll just take our hands onto our hip points. So the front of the pelvis, the front of the hips. And then we'll start to arch and tuck the lower back a couple times. So just bringing some more awareness into the pelvis and into the spine. So as you arch your lower back, you'll feel as though the tailbone is going to reach up and touch the crown of your head. So much so that I can actually slide my hand underneath my lower back if I wanted to. And then as I exhale, I'll press my lower back down into the floor, pull the hip bones up towards my rib cage. And we'll just do this a couple more times, just bringing a little bit more mobilization in our pelvis. As the pelvis connects to those femur bones, so the largest leg bone, or the largest bone in the body rather. So if we learn to mobilize the hips a little bit, it can help us to create longer legs and a little bit more flexibility in the legs as well. Take about 2 more rounds, just arching and tucking through the pelvis. Now find a neutral spine position, so in between that arch and in between that tuck. Take a really deep breath in. And use the strength of your belly. We're going to slowly draw those knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze there. And now bring your right hand onto your right kneecap and your left hand onto your left kneecap. And we'll just start to circle the knees in opposite directions of one another. So draw the knees together, away from you, out and around. Still breathing in and out through your nose, just getting a little bit more spaciousness again into the hip sockets. And the next time you reach your knees in towards your chest, we'll just rotate in the opposite direction, still continuing to stay connected to the gentle breath in and out of your nose. Now go ahead and hug your knees in towards your chest. Again, give yourself just a really big squeeze. Keeping the right knee in towards your chest, step your left foot just straight down onto the floor. So sole of the left foot connects, heavy through your left hip, and feel your pelvis evenly rooted onto the floor. Now with that knee hugged in towards your chest, we'll reach around and grab onto our strap. And again, that bolster and maybe that blanket on time is to the right side of the mat. Blanket on top. We're going to extend the right leg straight on up towards the ceiling from there. And then once you have the right leg up towards the ceiling, you'll push that femur bone, so that really big leg bone, you're going to push away from your chest so that your right ankle comes and stacks over the right hip. Now I have my bolster again right out to the right side. It's either going to be right up against your right hip or a little bit further away. And you can change that depending on how this feels. Grab onto your strap with your right hand. Extend your left leg straight long towards the bottom of your mat. And then the left arm is going to reach straight out to the left side. Now on your next inhale breath, open that right leg all the way over to the right. And I want it to land on top of the bolster and on top of the blanket if you need it. Now, if you get here and this left hip rolls way up off of the floor, you can bring the leg straight back on up, scooch the bolster in just a tiny bit more, and then have a little bit more support there instead. So I'm really looking for that left hip to stay completely down. A little bit of work into the belly here. And then once you have this, we'll relax the shoulder blades fully down into the floor. And we'll stay here for about 10 to 12 slow, deep breaths. Start to breathe into your belly, breathe into your pelvis, but also breathe out through the length of your heels. Feel the length of the legs reaching and extending actively in the opposite direction. On your last exhale, you'll hug the belly in gently. Then on an inhale breath, we'll reach that right leg slowly back on up towards the ceiling first. Then bend into the left knee, step the left foot down, bend into the right knee, step the right foot down, release your strap. Take your hands onto your hip points or out to the sides. And we'll take a few deep breaths. Breathe into your lower belly. Breathe into your hip flexor and the inner thigh on the right leg. And then we'll just transition over to the opposite side. So you'll just reach up, grab onto the bolster, and then set it all the way up against the left hip, or again, a little bit further away. And then once you have the bolster resituated, we'll draw that left knee in towards your chest and just give it a really big squeeze here. Right foot stays connected down onto the floor, and that right hip starts to feel a little bit heavier. And now we'll grab onto that strap again, hook it along the sole of that left foot now, as you extend the left leg straight on up towards the ceiling. Then with that left foot flex, again, reach the leg away so that you find your left ankle, left knee, and left hip in a little bit better of an alignment. Then once you find that, again, that right leg will reach long towards the bottom of the mat. The lower back is staying in a neutral position. Grab onto the strap with the left hand. Right arm reaches out to the right side. And on an inhale, keep your right hip down. We'll slowly start to open that left leg all the way over to the left-hand side. And then once you find yourself there again, we'll pause for a few breaths, feeling that left inner thigh opening. And at the same time, see if you can get a little bit longer through the crown of your head. Finding the right heel and the left heel pushing away from the midline of your body. Legs are straight and strong, or maybe a micro bend if you feel this near the back of the knee. Anchoring down through that right hip again. On your next inhale, left leg reaches straight back on up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bend the right knee, step the right foot down. Then you'll relax your strap again, step the left foot down onto the floor. And we'll pause again for a few breaths. Breathe into your lower belly and breathe into your pelvis. Start to hug both knees in towards your chest, taking the strap along the sole of both of your feet now, and extend both legs straight on up towards the ceiling. Now we'll move a little bit dynamically here. So take a really deep inhale breath. And then as you exhale, you'll start to bend your knees closer towards your armpits, and then start to straighten the legs up towards the ceiling. So we'll just do this a couple times, moving into the hip joint. The soles of the feet will start to come together as the knees go wide. And then you'll press the soles of the feet into the strap to straighten the legs out. Let's just go 2 more rounds, staying gentle into the shoulders, gentle in the hips. And then one more time, you'll bring the soles of your feet together, let the knees knock out wide. So finding a floating butterfly position. Bend your elbows so much that they can actually rest on the floor. And then I'm pulling on the strap just a tiny bit with my hands. And if you're a little bit more flexible, you can start to walk your hands closer towards your feet and then actually pull on the strap to pull the feet in a little bit closer. But the soles of the feet are together, my elbows are on the floor. So even if I am using my arms, I'm using leverage and proper alignment to gently pull and open through my hips. Take one more deep inhale breath. Now from here, we're going to find a happy baby with the strap. So what that's going to look like is you're going to press the soles of your feet back onto the strap, but then widen the legs at the same time. And so the strap will actually have to widen as well. Now my elbows are up off the floor this time. My hands are hooked onto the strap, and then my knees are closer to the armpits. My feet are flexed up towards the ceiling. Now you can stay still if it feels good. You might invite a gentle rock from side to side. Or if you are staying still, we're trying to reach the tailbone actually further and closer down towards the floor, reaching the sit bones and then feeling the knees and the hips opening and widening. And then you'll slowly start to release. You can walk the feet a little bit closer, bend the knees, and then release the strap so that it doesn't swing at you. And then we can set our strap all the way off to the side. Start to set the feet down and then straighten the legs one at a time. We'll just come into a mini Shavasana for a moment. Closing the eyes, feeling the length that's now been created from the hip socket all the way down the legs. Now, one knee at a time, rebend your knees, step your feet down onto the floor. Hands will flip down by the sides of the hips, and just 3 or 4 times or so, we'll just lift and lower the hips a couple times. So inhale, press into your feet, lift the hips up. And then you'll exhale, just lower the hips back down to the floor. Let's go 3 more rounds, actually. Pressing into your heels, feeling the backs of the thighs that we just stretched and opened, engaging a little bit. And then allowing this to feel good on the spine as you just roll the body back down to the floor. Last 2. After your tailbone touches the earth, pause, take an inhale and an exhale. Inhale, reach your left arm all the way up over the crown of your head, and we're just going to rest it on the floor behind you so that we can roll over onto our left side from there. And now once you come onto your left side, let's bend the bottom elbow and then rest your head into your hand. Take your right knee, draw it across the body as if you're going to come into a twist. And then we're going to bend into the left knee. And now some of you might just bend into the left knee and take your right hand, externally rotate it, so roll it away from you. And then just let the hand rest on the floor behind you if that's comfortable. If not, let it rest on your hip. If you're a little bit more flexible, you're going to reach down and grab onto that foot. So grab onto your left foot with your right hand. Now feel your tailbone reaching again underneath you. And now you have a couple options. You can stay here if this is already an intense enough motion. You might come to lie down onto your arm, or to open up your chest a little bit more. The left arm is going to thread closer towards your right knee, and I'll actually open my entire chest towards the ceiling and take more of a twisting action here. Now, if the twist is way too much because it can be intense on the shoulder and we haven't done a ton on our shoulders, just rebend into the left elbow and set the head back into your hand. And then if you have that foot, you'll slowly release the foot first. Then we can lower the head back down onto the arm if it's not there already. Take your time. We'll slowly unwind. Just roll all the way back onto your back. Step the feet down onto the floor. You can either leave the knees separated or knock the knees in towards one another, and just pause there for just a moment or two of your breath. And then from there, we'll switch over to the opposite side. So now that right arm is going to reach up and over. We'll roll all the way on to the right side. And then once you're rolled onto the right side, that left knee is going to come up and over the body. We'll bend the right elbow and rest the head and the hand. Then that bottom knee is going to bend. The arm can rest, or you can reach back and grab onto the foot. Now staying high into the chest, if this feels okay, and a good opener for the front of your right thigh. Again, draw the tailbone underneath you slightly. Maybe a gentle squeeze in the right gluteal muscle, and then staying there, or thread the right arm underneath you, coming into a gentle twist. Final 2 breaths in and 2 breaths out. And then if you have that foot again, you'll slowly release it. If your head is resting, you'll lower that down. And then we'll transition to lying down onto the back towards center. Again, feet step onto the floor. Maybe the feet walk wide and the knees drop in towards one another. Pause there, feeling that space created now in the front of the thighs. And then one knee at a time, you'll start to draw your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a really big squeeze, hugging everything in. And then one leg at a time, we'll start to extend the legs again out into almost a Shavasana-like position. But we'll walk the feet so that they are hip-width distance apart, about 1 or 1.5 fists between your 2 feet. Flex the feet up towards the ceiling. And now from here, on an inhale, reach both arms up towards the sky and all the way up above the crown of your head. And interlace your fingers and then just press the palms away from the crown of your head. Now from here, start to reach the right heel of your right foot away from your body as long as you can. Keep pressing up through both of your hands. And then we'll switch. Relax the right leg
And then start to press that left heel, getting that leg as long as you can. Both hands are pressing away from the crown of your head. And then we'll do that one more time again on each side. Relax the left leg. Feel the right heel pushing, driving away, getting longer and straighter into the body. And then you'll switch. Left heel will push away, right leg relaxes as much as possible. Now relax through both legs for a moment. Feel the tailbone rooted onto the floor. Switch the interlacing of your fingers so your opposite thumb comes on top. Now pressing both palms straight up above the crown of your head. We'll reach through both of your heels this time. So both heels reach away, press through the palms of your hands. Feel the rib cage gently hugged in towards your midline. Continue to get longer and evenly spacious in the body. We'll take about 5 more breaths here, stretch and lengthening through the whole entire body now, especially the legs. And push through the heels a little bit more. Take another really big breath in. Exhale to stay pushed last time. And then on an inhale, you'll release the interlacing of your fingers, bring the hands up towards the ceiling, and then all the way to rest by the sides of your hips. Allow your legs to be heavy. The whole body to be heavy. But we'll one last time check in with the heaviness in the heels, the shin bones, and the thigh bones. Notice if there is a shift of awareness and a shift of lengthening that has now arrived throughout the space of your legs. Now resting here in connection with the heaviness and the length of the legs for as long as you would like. Enjoy your rest, and I'll see you next time at practice. Namaste.